My goodness. What a wonderful, well, it's just such an honor for me. You know, I grew up in this organization, literally, but to be paired with my hero is just an honor. It just, I'll cherish the rest of my life. I would like to say one of the ones who finished second in the oldest category was Colonel Bill Pullum. Bill's back there. Bill served on our board for many years. He was involved in the civilian marksmanship program. And Bill, we just want to thank you for being here. We want to thank you for the leadership that you provided and your friendship to all of us here at the National Rifle Association. Thank you so much for your great welcome. You know, I do wish my dad was here. But I want to say we're here for the NRA Annual Meeting. Welcome to Nashville. Let's hear it. Welcome to Nashville. Good morning, NRA. You know, as I said, I do wish my dad was here. I know he'd be proud of me. He would be so proud of the NRA today and so proud of the difference you made in last year's elections. You supported the NRA and your local pro-gun candidates. You donated your hard-earned money, sacrificed your personal time, and you and millions of gun owners just like you went to the polls last fall and won a big victory for freedom. Together, we handed President Obama a big defeat. We proved that Michael Bloomberg's millions of dollars on the airways don't stack up to millions of hard-working gun owners on the ground. We delivered pro-gun majorities in both houses of Congress. And Dirty Harry lost his job as Senate Majority Leader. But we all know that our fight for freedom never ends. That those who would deny our rights are plotting even now to win back Congress in 2 years. The 2016 elections have already begun, setting up an historic struggle between us and those who want to vanquish our freedom forever. As long as you stay vigilant, as long as Americans, 100 million gun owners, remain engaged and active together, all of us together, we stand and fight. We will win. And by God, we will take back the White House. Together, we made the difference in last fall's elections. And together, we will make the difference in 2016. And when the sun goes down on that election day, Hillary Clinton will be retired for good. You know, it's the tough fights that make us stronger, larger, and more prepared than ever to endure the long struggle to save and defend our freedom. Let there be no doubt, we will never back down, not ever. We are freedom's warriors. That's been our legacy for decades, going all the way back to the days of my dad. I grew up in the NRA, literally. From the time I was a young boy, Dad would take me to Camp Peary every summer. I loved it. I loved it. I could eat all the mashed potatoes and ice cream I wanted. From way back then, through his service on the NRA Board of Directors, as NRA President, as chairman of the historic meeting in Cincinnati in 1977 that gave the NRA back to its members and invigorated the Institute for Legislative Action, and the building of the NRA as one of the most potent political forces in this country. Through it all, I had a front row seat on the stage of unprecedented NRA history. It led this son in the footsteps of his father to this podium as your NRA president. It's been an amazing legacy. 30 years ago, NRA had about 2 million members. Today, there are more than 5 million NRA members and another 25 million Americans who identify themselves with the NRA. In the 80s, we had 3 magazines. Today, there are 6 NRA magazines, 6 television shows, a national radio program, and more than a dozen online channels. Back in the old days, we had a small firearms museum at NRA headquarters. Today, the National Firearms Museum in Fairfax, Virginia is the finest of its kind, telling the 700-year history of firearms. The Frank Brownell Museum of the Southwest at the NRA Whittington Center in Raton, New Mexico, tells the history of the region and features exceptional decorated arms by American engravers. And the NRA National Sporting Arms Museum, located at the Bass Pro Shop in Springfield, Missouri, celebrates the history of hunting, conservation, and freedom with nearly 1,000 historically significant firearms. Folks, I got to tell you, if you hadn't been to these museums, you have got to go. You know, in the early 90s, about 10,000 people attended our convention. This weekend, some 70,000 of us will walk these halls and attend our events. Your NRA today is reaching more Americans than ever before with our enduring message of freedom and personal liberty. And more Americans are responding to freedom's ring than ever before. When my dad was elected NRA president in 1959, 60% of polled Americans favored a ban on all handguns. Today, 73% oppose such a ban. Three decades ago, only 11 states allowed the right to carry. Today, 42 states recognize the right, and folks, we won't stop until that number hits 50. The old Clinton gun ban from the 90s has long expired. It's gone. Hunter protection laws are on the books in every state in the country. Range protection laws are now in place in 49 states. 18 states have adopted right to hunt constitutional amendments. And almost a quarter of today's gun owners are first-time buyers, and these new shooters are younger, female, and live in urban and suburban areas. All welcome trends for the Second Amendment. In the 80s, some 10 million American women owned a firearm. Today, there are more than 30 million women shooting and hunting, having fun in the shooting sports, and buying firearms at a record price and training for personal protection. More women than ever are out there exercising their own Second Amendment freedom. American women have become a real force in the fight for freedom, and they deserve all of the thanks and support we can give them. Men, let's show them how proud we are. Stand up and hand it to these great American women. Today, the NRA is viewed more favorably by more Americans than any other political party, the Congress, and certainly the White House. More people trust us than they trust them. And Lord knows, Americans sure don't trust the national news media. But that hasn't stopped the political and media elites from trying to deny us our freedom and tell us how we should live and what we should believe. They think that they're better and smarter than we are, as if they're more sophisticated and intellectually evolved than we are. From Michael Bloomberg's hypocrisy of denying our firearms freedom while surrounding himself with armed protection, to President Obama's dictatorial executive orders to circumvent Congress and the will of the majority of Americans, to the media's cultural attacks upon our freedom, our values, and our way of life. You know, I'm just a country lawyer from Alabama. And I surely don't want to offend anyone. But I've got to tell you, when it comes to those elitists looking down their noses and telling us how to live, it's time they got the message loud and clear. You elitists live however you want. But when it comes to us, get your hands off our freedom and leave us the hell alone. Folks, that that is the legacy of fighting for freedom that my father and his generation handed down to all of us. Because of what my dad and so many others did back in his day, our NRA is stronger, tougher, and more successful than ever before. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a lot of that credit to Wayne LaPierre. You know, Wayne kind of reminds me of Coach Paul Bear Bryant. You bet. Roll Tide roll. The NRA is not the only place I followed my dad. I also followed him to the University of Alabama, where Coach Bryant asked me to walk on and play football. I never played for him, though. Back then, freshmen wasn't eligible to play. But I was eligible to practice. And I was a pretty big kid even then, so I was part of the freshman team practice squad. I learned a lot from Coach Bryant. His teams were prepared for anything and were rarely surprised. He knew the game and he knew how to win it. I've known Wayne LaPierre for more than 30 years. Wayne knows the game, and Wayne knows how to win it. I've been amazed to watch him outsmart anti-gun politicians, outwit the gun control lobby, and outfox the anti-gun media. Here's something Wayne doesn't get enough credit for. Because of his vision, his leadership, your NRA of today is more organized, efficient, and technologically savvy than at any time in history. Coach Bryant used to preach a Vince Lombardi line. We will chase perfection, knowing we can never attain it. But along the way, we shall catch excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, we have caught excellence time and time again, and that is in no small part to the leadership of Wayne LaPierre, and let's all give him a big thank you. There's someone else I'd like to take a moment to thank. My wife and your First Lady, Catherine. She's been by my side and has worked so hard, especially during the last 2 years for this association that she loves so much. Catherine, thank you. As I leave this stage for the final time as your president, I am so proud of our success, so grateful for all the work that you and millions of NRA members across the country have done to preserve our heritage and our liberty. To now join my dad in the history books of past NRA presidents humbles me. It inspires me. I am witness to the American dream. I am now challenged, as we all are, to pass that dream to the next generation of Americans. the dream of individual freedom that our fathers and mothers and aunts and uncles passed on to us. It is that dream that bonds us together as the NRA family to preserve the freedom we care so much about. That is why I love the NRA so much, because of you and your commitments. You raise good families, build strong communities, and in the face of every threat, you stand up and defend freedom. That's a lot to be proud of, and a lot to leave as your legacy. Ours is an enduring struggle that each generation must fight to secure and advance eternal freedom for all of us. I may leave this stage as your president, but I will never depart the battlefield of freedom. We will never surrender, never relinquish our liberty. And for our generations and Americans who come after, we will always stand and always fight for freedom. I thank you. God bless the NRA. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.